Good evening, Dan here, and this is my first video blog for our history course that we're doing, and first assignment for this week. And on my research, I knew that I wanted to do something with military history because of my background, and I also had a pretty big background in transportation as well, so I was trying to think of a way to combine those if possible, and maybe come up with a research project that would ultimately be my final project. With a word of encouragement from our instructor, Dr. Schultz, and also one of the video assignments that we had to watch this week, I had kind of a eureka moment, and it all came together as far as what I wanted to research, and that's what I'm going to present tonight, at least the first bit of this. I'm going to be doing some research on a World War II pilot who ultimately became a general and then retired. But in World War II, he was a bomber pilot. And I thought an interesting thing to begin to research would be kind of what his job was in World War II. Yes, he was a bomber pilot, but what was involved in bombing, and kind of start the process to understand more of what he went through and experienced in the war and how that shaped him in the years to come. So I did some digging on the databases there with the Liberty University Library. And the first article that I'm going to write about, and this will be in the same order as I have them presented in the information prior to the video here, the written information. It is a article or a dissertation about the strategic bombing campaign during World War II. And what it does is it looks at the pinpoint versus area bombing and kind of how that progressed. It also takes you through the infancy of strategic bombing and how that evolved into the bombing and the final bomb, if you will, of World War II, or bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it's a very interesting read. It takes you, again, from the beginning through the end of the war, World War II. He has a lot of good resources that he presented in the article, and good primary and secondary resources as well, and basically just kind of walked you through that whole process, the thought processes and everything. The second article is Clipping the Eagle's Wings, the limiting of the Korean Air War, 1950 to 1953. And what this does, this goes into the strategic bombing and how it was looked at in the Korean War, which is what they called a limited war, unlike World War I and World War II, that were basically total wars. Everything, a lot more than just one country or a couple countries. It's kind of like a world scale war. And so it talks about how the bombing progressed during that conflict. And this particular general that I'm going to write about was also involved in the Korean War. The third article that I have is kind of, I came across this and I thought this would be an interesting way to look at it too, this is from a study done in Germany, and how did strategic bombing affect the citizens, non-combatants, if you will, and how it affected them. Did it have long-term effects? And how did it affect them short-term? That particular paper delves a lot into some studies. It's more from a psychological perspective and viewpoint, but I thought it gave a very good a different way to look at that particular bombing campaign and how it affected the civilians, if you will, in this particular case. I think this is a good way to get started. The library had a lot of fantastic resources, and it shouldn't be any problem digging up more information, especially on this particular aspect of this general's life. Thank you.